We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome to Millennium News 24, and I'm your host, Eric Stevenson with Power Talk, and I'm with you. We're here today with the world-renowned chief, Oluwole Ifakunle of Harlem. He's a prominent figure. He's featured on television and revered by prestigious colleges across the globe with over 35 years of experience. He has been on our show before to share insight on his book, Bliss, A Guide to a Happier Living, where we all really need in this world today, being that we're going through so much. And we're happy to welcome him back to share some more insight. Welcome, Chief.
Thank you.
And the viewers will be happy. I know that last time you was here, they enjoyed your insight on just the light, shedding light on things that people could do on a daily basis just to make stress go away, just to live life a little bit more calm and peaceful. So we went on, and we're glad the viewers had demanded that one day we get you back. So here we are.
Oh, thank you for having me back.
Yes. We have some daily news update as we usually do, and then we'll get into some things, and you could share some deep information about Bliss. But number 3 we had on our daily news update was regarding the presidential election that's coming up. As you know, everywhere you turn on the TV, every day, every second, every minute, it's either President Biden or President Trump. It's a back and forth situation. But on Saturday, President Joe Biden had told graduates of the U.S. Military Academy that their class is being called upon to tackle threats across the globe and preserve the country's ideas at home like none before. So he's saying they're living in a more critical time. Now that they're graduating, he's relying on them to be the leaders in taking forth, protecting the rights of this country, and protecting those abroad like never before. So he's trying to say we're living in a critical time, and it's going to require more energy, more work to bring about this. Bob, I didn't know. It's all we constantly hearing. What is your thoughts with that?
We have to be very diligent about what is being said in the government and what we are being affected, because we're not dealing just with our own internal struggles here in the United States. We're dealing with the external struggles of war, as well as the uncertainty of American future. And as we progress towards this American future, it looks very, very scary. We're wondering about the economy. The economy is really at its worst. It's in shambles, and we're not sure who to blame. From what I understand is that, it's usually the past administration which affects the present administration. Yeah. And so as we know in politics, it doesn't look like that, but that's what it is. Someone does something, and then it's set up for the next role and position to either make it look good or look bad. And however it is, we are in uncertain times. Yeah. So that's clear.
So the new military academy, these young people are coming out and going to be put into the military, and like the president said, they're going to be required to uphold American freedoms and to fight terrorism abroad. I guess at the time that we're living now, it's more and more things are going up, more threats against America because of the war in Gaza and other places, the things that's going on, the hatred outside for America. I don't think it's for America so say, but the American policies that people are complaining about. So
yeah, it's important for us to be able to differentiate American policy between the American people. And of course it goes to administrations and different administrations and their own personal view and how they view what they want to their personal agendas. We know that it's connected to finances and financial, whatever the finances are. We have to follow the money. If we follow the money, we will discover what is actually the reasons for the political climate. And so him saying that is also, we do also have to protect our borders, and we have to protect America, because it's very vitally important for us. But we also have to make the world know that the politics of the present administration isn't American all across the board politics. And so it is by nature sometimes things that we're not able to see clearly.
Yes, yes. And there's things that's probably goes on, or I'm sure that's going on, that the American people are unaware of and have no knowledge of,
Exactly.
to an extent, a portion of us, because we find out things later that there was foreign policies that more than half of American people would probably disagree with, knowing that a shortage of aid was sent to one country and more sent to another country, whereas most people would probably say, well, why didn't we even it out? Or why did we put more into the poor versus more into the non-poor, et cetera? So, we can't always say the American people or blame the American people, because, and even our government, there's some in our government who wants to do right things, but the partisan politics just always creates a gridlock where you just can't get things done all the time. You always have opposition. You have to have a majority vote and so on. And that is just not happening right now. And that could take years and years before you have a clear passage of a party or majority where you could just get things passed, assigned into law, and change policies and so on. I'm sure you know how that works, Bob.
Well, I'm definitely have seen it, and we've seen it firsthand. American politics, and then talking about bipartisan type participation within the government and the shutting down of the governments. Over the years, we've seen various a myriad of different type of politics and political aspirations for people who want to aspire to office, as well as those who are in office, and those who want status quo, America as it is, and not America to change. We need to change. It has to become a better way that we as American citizens have a participation in our government, and also how we are going to have a say in what is going on. If we do not have a say, then you are not part of the solution, you're part of the problem.
Yeah. I think instead of us just voting for a president or a congressperson or a senator, et cetera, I think they should start to set up more citizen advisory boards throughout the country and throughout the states, that where the citizens have direct input into our elected officials. I know that we have community advisory boards, but those are usually controlled and set up by the elected officials so that they control what comes out of them and how the current flows. But we should have real citizen advisory boards set up throughout the states, where we have more input on foreign policies, local policies, et cetera. And instead of just a vote and giving control to one person or to a president or a senator or a body of elected officials, we have a say-so to control some of what they're doing or have a strong input. How does that sound?
Well, that sounds like a solution, and that sounds like a solution that sounds workable and needs to be implemented. I mean, the idea of having implementing something which is realistic, as well as something which is functional. The idea also is really about who's interested, and this is what we have uninterested parties, because we don't feel like we're participating in a system which is not representing us. So we have a system that's representing us, and we can find that we have or interested parties that are interested, and then we have participation, of course, that will allow us to feel like we are part of something useful and recognizable.
Yes, and that's important. What you was just mentioning earlier about follow the money, see where it's coming from, and that would show us the outcome of why things are actually going in certain directions. Especially when it comes to environmental laws, and you're wondering why these people are getting away with murder. Just slap on the wrist and pay a small fine for these major dumps in our water of hundreds of thousands of gallons of oils and stuff. And it's almost impossible to collect that oil out the water at once it's in, and then so much of the chemicals and toxins go down into our waters where the fish are and so on. And then now we're getting these fish that's coming back or being fished by the fishermen back and sold to the American people to consume. And you're wondering why the levels of cancers are increasing and we're finding contamination in the fish, but yet they're getting a slap on the wrist. And when we trace the money, we see that many of these big oil companies have given millions of dollars to the presidential campaigns and so on. So I guess some feel obligated not to slap them on the wrist so hard.
Yeah, I mean,
it's unfortunate because we talk about environmental issues. This is something that sometimes is life and death, because what I'm talking about is contamination of the fish and so on, which comes back around and we consume.
Yeah, I mean, it's and we have the different things that we're fishing for in the seas, which are very, very instrumental in cleaning up the seas, right? And so these type of creations and crayfish and shrimps and other foods that are used to be able to be the cleaners of the sea, some of that stuff is going to take upward of 20 years. 50 years, and perhaps at some levels never being able to recognize and to be able to, but over the course of the time, the universe is going to be able to recognize and to reenact and re-clean itself, but it takes time. And slapping on the wrist is really the hardship of American politics, as well as American money, the line in which money is flowing and who's getting fed, right? And we get the blunt of the negative, that we are going to be poisoned and we shorten our lifespans and all of these things. And this is really horrible.
But there should be no pass for polluting our waters, know, and that should be a no-no, and it should be real strict laws and enforcement put in place. I don't care whether you're mobile, whoever you are. If you do it, then there should be severe penalties behind it. It's a strong message be sent that you don't do it. Exactly.
Exactly.
Moving forward, I had 0.5 on my daily news today regarding the United Nations Court. The order now that Israel halt its offense in the southern Gaza city of Rafah, as it has deepened a disconnect with the United States over a military operation that faces mounting international condemnation. But the American officials describe, at least for now, they're just calling for Israel to kind of tone it down, but the International Court is asking for an immediate stop of it.
It's necessary. An unequivocal, immediate ceasefire is necessary, and there's no other solution. War is not an answer, and it can never be able to make a solution for hate. We know that. We know that war, as long as there's money in war, we will have wars. If we can be able to see that there's going to be taking out, and we don't have a sense of human rights, but also a sense of human beings. The amount of human beings that have died in Gaza and the Gaza Strip is astronomical, and the life loss on both sides is unexcusable. Life loss, and we are talking about generations. When you wipe out one person, how many thousands of people took just to create that one person? And we're wiping out generations by killing off the future. And we need people in the future.
Yeah, but how long are the excuses going to go on? First, it was the bombing of hospitals in Gaza, saying that Hamas was hiding under hospitals, right? So they blew up hospitals where nobody could get medical treatment. Underneath, there was no Hamas, right? Now, everything's destroyed, so we're moving into Rafah now. So America's urging not to do it. President Biden said he's not going to support Israel going in there with weaponry. He's not going to support it. Senator Chuck Schumer has spoke against it. The UN court has issued warrants to Israel about this, to the Prime Minister of Israel, and yet they want to continue by whether it's with or without America. They determined just to go in Rafah. So now, if they do, and this is destroyed as they did Gaza, the other part of Gaza, right? There was going to be the next excuse. Yeah. Okay, so you said now Rafah. Now you're going to say Hamas moved into where? Egypt? And now you want to go attack Egypt? I mean, when is it going to stop?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, the idea of this, a few, the politics of few being represented, and again, it's the same thing. A few people are having their own political ideas and their own notions of what they want the world to be like, look like, or have their views being imposed, and that few is affecting the many. And so this idea between them and us, and those who have, and those who are, and those who are not in favor. And so, we need a worldwide ceasefire. In the world, we need a ceasefire, and not only in Gaza Strip, but there's war across the world, and throughout Africa, and through Russia, and all of these different places where people are attacking one another for the purpose of what? What is it to gain? It has to be financial, and it's all following money line.
My thing is, as the International Court has stayed quiet all of this time since this war first happened, it got to the point where they say enough is enough, that we have to step in now because it's gone too far. You have innocent people now who had nothing to do with Hamas, had nothing to do with war, and probably would tell you, if you asked them personally, never to kill or harm Israel, because their intention is to live a peaceful life, and they have no gripes with Israel, the normal Palestinian person, right? But yet Hamas did what they did, and Israel has done what they've done. They've killed several hundred on the Israeli side, and Israeli has killed over 30,000 on the Palestinian side. So eye for eye, Israel got several eyes for an eye, right? So it's square, it's even at this point, more than even for the Israeli side, because they've killed tens of thousands. But the innocent people, as I mentioned, who probably would not want to see a war or see harm done to Israel, because it's easy for people to choose sides to live in peace without war. You go with your families, enjoy your life, enjoy the good of this world, and Palestinians go enjoy their families and life and the good of this world. Everything stays at a level and calm and peace, which is what the average person would want. Regardless of what Hamas has done, still yet I just find it hard that they can't locate Hamas after all of this time, how they're still roaming and doing what they do, according to what Israel and other media outlets are saying. I would love to see who these Hamas really are, and if there really is a Hamas. I would like to see who these people are and how are they so powerful where they can't get them. These seem like some real strategists, real military people. I just don't see them outdoing American military and Israeli military. How is that Hamas you can't bring them to justice, if that's the case. And it's going on and on. But my thing's the innocent people. They're allowing some humanitarian aid to come in, trickle in slowly but surely, and it's letting it go in piece by piece, and it's not coming in quick enough. People are just dying. Kids are just dying. Parents are just digging the grave and putting their babies in because they have nothing else to do. You see them on TV. And I'm just saying now, enough has come to a point where enough is enough.
Absolutely. I mean, it goes back to the wars, what they said of mass destructions. What we had before, we were talking about mass destruction. This is the weapons of mass destruction. Weapons of mass destruction. It's the same headlines in terms of what we want to connect that to Hamas. The word mass destruction and Hamas. And so what it is, it's a hype. It's a place in which we can be able to hype the American people. We can hype the American world, the world at large, to be able to side or take sides as a result of something which can be as an illusion. And when they went into to find weapons of mass destruction, they found none. And so here they went in and they've done the same thing in the West Bank, and we find no Hamas. And so what is it that there's ghosts? Are we fighting ghosts? Are we fighting these invisible?
That's what I want to know. Where are these? I mean, whether they're guilty or not, I mean, I guess the international court would determine, but I would like to see just who these Hamas people are, But we're going to take a break and come right back, so stay with us. Hello, viewers in America and across the world. This is Eric Stevenson, host of the Power Talk show on Millennium News 24. Tune in every week at Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, American Time, and also on all of your iOS and Android devices. Also on Smart TV and Apple, Amazon, and worldwide through Verizon Satellite. And also worldwide through www.millenniumtvnews.com. And that's www.millenniumnews24.com. And through our social media, Millennium News. See you then. Welcome back to Power Talk, and I'm your host, Eric Steves. I'm with you, and we're here with Baba. We're going to continue on with our discussion and get into some more of the positive side of things that we need for healing and we need for reconciliation and these things. Baba, I wanted to also add on, recently, Israel has become more isolated. Just a few days back, Norway, Ireland, and Spain say they would recognize a Palestinian state. This sparked a wave of displeasure with Israel and some other people, but I think now others are going to take lead and follow this, because they're trying to make a statement that we need to have peace once and for all, as long as we're here on this planet, for longer than humanity's around, and to give and recognize a Palestinian state, that we don't repeat these type of things again.
Yeah, I mean, so that's going to be a repetition. And so we do need the world to stand up and to be able to have a unified body by which we can all recognize the state and recognize the place as an independent state, an independent country. Why do we want to call it a state? We have to recognize it as a place of have its independence and be able to have a place on the world stage and have a voice in the world stage, opposed to being a state or a subsidiary of what? What are they a subsidiary of, and who, under what jurisdiction are we going to place them? And so it's really very important for the support on both sides to be able to realize that Israel has its standings, but we need Palestine to also have its standings and its voice heard.
Well, the International Court had issued arrest warrants for Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, as well as Hamas leaders. The Biden administration, as they stand apart from the global community, as it opposes a major offense in Rafah, and the administration also insists that its ally Israel has not taken steps so far and have not crossed red lines, and they kind of oppose an arrest being issued for Netanyahu, but didn't mention about whether the arrest should be pulled back from Hamas leaders as well. But they're saying he did not cross the line. Yet it's kind of a double standard here, like a two-faced situation here, because they're saying they don't want him to go on Rafah. They're not going to support it. Yet the International Court issued warrants, and they're saying, well, we don't agree with that. Israel didn't cross the red line. What is the red line?
Yeah, absolutely.
Another 30,000 dead? Would that make up to 60,000 deaths? Would that meet the red line threshold? Or, I mean, what does that mean?
Well, we got to look at the amount of rebuilding that is necessary to be able to rebuild the area in which they have destroyed. And what ends up happening is that we find that the Israelis are rushing in there to take over those spots and those lands in which they're needing rebuilding. So they've destroyed them. So if there's available funds that are going to be sent there to Palestine, the Israelis are interested in being able to gather that money and to help rebuild. And so here we've destroyed it, and then other political or non-political corporations are going to walk in and to be able to reap the benefit of the world's money to help to rebuild Palestine. And what is that? I mean, that's almost like a sweet, change. You're gonna it's like a bait and switch. So I'm gonna bait you to come in here, you come in here and you destroy it, and then I'm gonna go in there and switch the game and make it another game of war. again, it's going to be connected to money.
Of course,
Sector.
because you know what, the constructive, the rebuilding process is going to take billions of dollars.
Billions.
Palestine doesn't have the money, and guess what? Once Israel goes in and does what it does, it's going to take. It takes control. It has the power over the land now. They're not going to return it to Palestinians.
Absolutely.
You know, this is waterfront land and property on the beautiful waterland there, and imagine putting up high-rise condos and homes there on this beautiful land facing the water. This won't go back into the hand of the Palestinian. So what you're saying is exactly right. It's connected to money. People seeing, they're putting a smoke screen out so you see one thing, a fire, but you don't see what's causing the fire and what's really going on. But the after fact is when you see this down the line, President Biden has mentioned that, well, we should return the land back after. Israel said, well, after we monitor it and hold control for some time, they will phase it back into Palestinian control. They didn't say what period of time. Would that be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, or would it never happen? And they'll just build up homes. Israel's expanding and it needs more land for its population and people. But this is not a way to get more land and increase your population to find and build homes by taking other people's homes. So, you know, there's a lot yet to be seen, but a lot of things are coming out the woodworks now. Countries in Europe are fed up with it now. And American people are fed up. As you see the students protesting all throughout America, of all background, of all religious faith, even some Jewish students themselves are protesting against it. They say enough is enough because they disagree. You have rabbis here in America who's standing up to Israel saying, no, it's not correct. This has to stop. So it's not a religious thing. It's a moral conscious thing where people of good morals says no, of humanity said has to stop. It's not right. It's not fair. In what scripture of what religion is this authorized to be okay?
No religion, no authorization.
Yeah.
Because if we're going to side on the side of right, nothing,
right.
No side is
it doesn't add up anywhere.
Doesn't add up.
So that's why you have Asian, you have white, Jewish, Muslims, all coming and protesting against it because it's like, nah, you know, if we're going to be in this, we're going to be in it for fair game. But we can't stand for something that's not fair game. Right. Because it's unjust then. And it creates unjust within ourselves if we accept that.
Exactly. And so we have to, again, is the idea of what's going on in the schools now, and they want the divestment. You have to divest. And so when you divest, you're going to take away the money. If you take away the money line, again, what are we going to be able to be left with? We're going to be left with the root of what the political nature of what the people are doing. That's what it is.
Exactly. Okay, moving forward. I mean, this would always go on. It's just like a 24/7 news everywhere you look, and It's just that we're tired and like, could we move forward? What was done was done. We can't undo the death. We can't bring the people back to life. But moving forward, could we like finally get a ceasefire and clear this out and get people back to living? It's not going to be forgotten by those who lost their loved ones, but loved ones were lost on both sides. Look, we're going to have to digest what it is and move forward. Are we going to move forward and create a situation of peace, or are we going to continue on with war and escalating war? So with that, I'll leave that for the viewers and those who's listening to think about that, what you want, and in your heart, what you find in your heart to want out this situation. I know personally myself, I'm not here to take sides, but within myself, I would like to see peace. I would like to see no more killings, and I like to see a permanent ceasefire once and for all. And I'm sure, Barbara, you probably feel the same, and you want to see the good.
I want to see the good come out of a bad situation.
Yeah.
And so, again,
and that's something that's in your book about coming out of darkness, and we're going to get into in a minute. Also, moving forward, because it's enough with this. There's so much. We're going to hear it again tonight on another news outlet. Anyway, regarding the rapper Nicki Minaj, she had a concert in Manchester. You're probably familiar with that was scheduled for Saturday night. It was postponed after the police in the Netherlands discovered marijuana in her pocketbook. I don't know exactly how much. As she was preparing to leave the country, they found it. They said the performance will be rescheduled and tickets will be honored. So those who paid, the concert was sold out. Those who had tickets, it will be honored at another time when the concert's rescheduled. Marijuana is illegal in the Netherlands except for medical purposes. So I guess they haven't advanced to where we are here in America yet. But Netherlands is full of marijuana, and people there throughout the Netherlands are nothing but smoking marijuana. And so I don't know. It's a tricky situation. I mean, the law is different, and she did and does have to abide by laws outside of this country. Just because we accept it doesn't mean others accept it. But I think whatever her justification is going to be once she goes to court, whether it's recreational or medical use, I'm thinking that because it's not so critical, that she should be given some consideration into not a harsh penalty on this.
Yeah, well, so again, it's a part and parcel of American arrogance. It's a part and parcel of American arrogance. They travel abroad. They think that their own political nature, things that are going on here in America, are worldwide, and absolutely they're not. And so as we begin to progress and we look at different places in the world, we begin to realize that American politics is not world politics. And so they're not government, our government and our rules and regulations that we may have here. If we realize that each one of our 50 states are a state into its own and a country within its own, and that's why it's called United States. We're united different small countries. New York City's rules and regulations are not the same as New Jersey. New Jersey and Connecticut don't agree. We're going to look at Oregon, Michigan, Nevada. We don't have the same laws. And so the things which are independent nations are within themselves. Each one of them. So American arrogance, as they travel abroad, to be able to think that they're going to be able to do.
And then sometimes the fame on top of it makes them really think, like, what are you going to do to me?
Above law. Above the law.
Yeah, above law. So this is the case where it's not that. Netherlands, well, we know you're an entertainer, you're famous, but you violated the law, and we're going to have to arrest you, and which they did. And so I guess we're going to wait to see the outcome. But apparently they're going to allow her, hopefully, to reschedule a concert. There was another woman they said that was arrested, not at this time, but before. She's been arrested for same situation. They considered it as soft drugs, and they fined the woman and released her. This is not Nicki Minaj. This is another case of another woman. So I was thinking that if they don't tack her because of her fame and so on, that they may look at it as not a serious thing, as a soft crime as well. Maybe give her a fine and to send her on her way, let her get a concert on, and let the people enjoy the concerts which they paid for.
Yeah. So, we're looking at the world, and as it's changing, it's definitely changed the idea and attitude towards marijuana and the marijuana usage, as well as entheogens across the board. The idea of the sense of liberty and arrogance among the American people. So that's
Netherlands grows so much marijuana too. Yeah. So I mean, what are you waiting for, Netherlands?
I think they're particularly in hemp. I think hemp products, and then considering the idea
that's
of
what they describe while they're doing this. Netherlands, sooner or later, I guess their citizens are gonna it's gonna be so overwhelming support to do it and make it illegal that eventually will happen once there's enough money for the government involved. But anyway, we're gonna take a break and be right back. So stay with us. Hello, viewers in America and across the world. This is Eric Stevenson, host of the Power Talk show on Millennium News 24. Tune in every week at Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, American Time, and also on all of your iOS and Android devices. Also on Smart TV and Apple, Amazon, and worldwide through Verizon Satellite. And also worldwide through www.millenniumtvnews.com. And as www.millenniumnews24.com, and through our social media, Millennium News. See you then. Welcome back to Power Talk. I'm your host. I'm with you, Eric Stevenson. We're here with Baba, sharing our perspectives on world news and current news, the latest happenings. And so we want to move forward to solutions now. We heard enough of the problems, and we need to now apply how do we come up with solutions to start to ease some of the pain and some of the stress and some guidance that we need to get out there to put some people who's off track on track into a right thinking and a right moving forward. So, Baba, how do we come out of this state of darkness? Because I call it a state of darkness whenever people are being a mass genocide is going on, people are being killed like this. I mean, this is a state of darkness. Mm-hmm. And what else is going on in our countries with homelessness, a lack of affordable housing, jobs, a lack of jobs, a lack of higher pay, gasoline prices going through the roof. People can't even afford to drive because the costs are so high. So this state of darkness, what is our way out now? How do we start this? People every day now are probably feeling like depressed and feeling like it's the end of the world, but yet it's not. It's all in our thinking. So what are we doing now with Bliss? And I know you have a new part 2 coming out, which is, man, it's incredible. Bliss, Vibrate Higher. And when I'm looking at the title, the actual cover, it says Vibrate Higher. I said, this is fitting for what we're discussing today about us needing to have a higher vibration on the right vibration, on a positive vibration. So what do we do now? How do we start this?
Well, we got to realize that everything in the universe is a vibration. Everything is electrical. We're electrostatic energy. Our being is electrostatic energy. So that which we manifest or what we put out in the universe, we attract in it. So we have this idea of chi, right? Or which is energy. We have prana, which is of course the life force, and we have ashe, which is the power to make things happen. To be whatever they are. These are multiple different types of energies that are talking about the same thing.
So when people get negative thoughts or making wrong decisions, is this that they're channeling in a wrong energy?
Sure. I mean, energies are, energy cannot be created or destroyed. And so once an energy is formed and created, and so they can only be directed. So forces or energy can only be directed. So we're directing our energy in a place where we can talk about vibrancy, about energetic feelings. So we're talking about discontent, or we're talking about hatred. We're talking about harboring different feelings. Those things have an effect, an emotional effect on our well-being, our breathing. They have an effect on our body. They have an effect on our mind, and they have an effect on a community of people and a family at home, right? So if you're in a place of happiness, and if you're in a place where you're content, where you have enough to eat, you have enough to do, you have a time to be able to rest and relax. You have an opportunity to create and to form good things in your life. Right, to spend this time and this courtesy time with your family, to enjoy the fruits of labor, right? And so a farmer who plants a seed in the earth has a period of darkness. There's a darkness in which he has to have faith. And the faith is that he's going to be able to water, to nurture, and to be able to stimulate the growth and development that takes in the darkness for that seed to be able to give birth and come into the light. And so we have a situation across the board in worlds in which I'm trying to describe in my book, Bliss, Vibrate Higher. I'm trying to get them to be able to see the idea of how do we live a happier life and how do we get there by vibrating is going to be about paying attention to those things which are necessary electrostatically and magnetically, right? Because we attract things magnetically by our own pull, right? So energy is that wave of length, and we have magnetism, which is a respective energy or a respective force within electromagnetic energy. So we're talking about things that are going to attract. It almost sounds like a science class almost, right? But we're going to have things that are going to attract, and we're going to have things that are going to repulse. And we can repulse the things which are not good for us by using reverse magnetism, and we can use magnetism to attract those things which we want. So we want good things. We want to do things that are going to be able to build our health and our vitality, speaking well, using language, being attentive to what type of language we use in public, or how do we refer to people in a respectful and a mindful manner. Mindfulness is so very vital and important, and we don't realize that creates a whole kind of vibration around what we want to help us to develop in our lives.
So a person who's on the wrong track of thinking and making wrong decisions, and who's not on this high level of this elevated bliss and having a serenity of peace and so on in their lives, how would they get back on track into moving forward in a positive way?
Excellent question. And really, it boils down to what you feed the mind. You remember, so meditation is a very, very powerful tool by which is used to be able to quiet the mind, so we can then program the mind. So quieting the mind through meditation and programming the mind.
And how would the people find about doing meditation, those who who's heard of the word but don't know what to do in meditation?
Right. So I'm an energy healer, and I do energy healing as well as I do a tremendous amount of different types of energy healings.
Is it in the information in the book?
The information is in the book about how to be able to go about getting into a meditative state and connecting oneself in that type of zone in which you go. So movement is good for the body. Meditation is good for the mind, right? And so, Mahatma Gandhi said that things in our life, when we want to deal with happiness or we want to get to a place of contentment and bliss, is when our what we think, what we say, and what we do are all in alignment. And when we have all these things in alignment, then we begin to find ourselves
balanced now.
Yes, but is what we think, what we say, and what we do.
Of course.
Yes.
Because we could say and think, but do something different.
Exactly.
And then that's an imbalancement.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so you'll have this thing where you're off balance. But now, again, remember that we are attracting what like attracts like. So as you have negative emotions, and so you have hate, you have war. If we have war, what does also that bring? That brings a lot of discontentment, that brings a lot of argument, that brings about this. What about if they had peace and harmony in Egypt? If they had peace and harmony in the Gaza Strip and Palestine, how would that be able to, where would they have celebrations together, coming together to do arts of celebration? They have more things which are similar than that are not similar. Keep in mind that the Israelis and the Palestinians, they are cousins. They are one and the same from the original tribe. So once you're talking about one tribe separating and two cousins having an argument, this is a family dispute. How do families then reorganize themselves, right? So we need people to reorganize themselves in a place where they can talk about what is the big thing, what do we have in common? Because since this is not about politics, this is not really about if it's not about money. What is it about? What is common? What is human? What part of the human part of our being that we can connect and be a part of and be mindful of my brothers, that I'm my brother's keeper. And if I'm my brother's keeper, how would I respect them? And how would I expect them to respect me? And
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that, like, what you were talking about being in peace on both sides and living together and having big celebrations together, do you think like having that negative thoughts or minds will be attracted to breaking that peace?
Of course, absolutely. And so that's what I said. So when you have
then there's some that just refuse to have this bliss or this elevation of a good thought and just want to be like not peacemakers but peace breakers around the world.
Right, exactly. So that idea of peace breakers, right? And that's a very key point of talking about how are we going to, if we can come to the table and talk about what is our respective views and what are we going to listen to one another. That is called that we have to be mindful of someone else's feelings. We have to be mindful of their existence. We have to not want to step on their toe. We not want to, and then there could have been a solution that they could have found a solution that could have been for both sides. That we could have an equitable situation that we could have both benefited. But again, it's through selfishness. Selfishness is also a derivative of other negatives, right? Because they have their friends that they go along with. And so gangs of happiness or things of happiness comes contentment, joy. It talks about prosperity. They go with happiness. And war, hatred, and all of these things which are not positive aspects or part of energetic, because we're talking about energy. How does the guide to guiding people to a happier life, to a happier living, if we are dealing with something which is, we got to go to the fundamentals, and love is going to be at the root of fundamental care and concern for my own brother's keeper.
So happiness is or righteous thinking and energy is not being selfish.
Exactly.
Thinking about the good for you and your side as well as the good for the other side.
Absolutely.
So you want it not just for you, what you want for them, what you wish for yourself.
Exactly.
So that's the thinking. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it's very, who wouldn't want health, happiness, and success and prosperity for them and their families? And that's across the board. And that's why I discuss about happiness, and I've made happiness my own mantra, my own way of being able to go throughout this world and promote happiness in any kind of which way that I can.
So when you go around to these different universities, I know you was on several TV stations.
Yes.
I've seen you in conferences online and all kinds of other things around different colleges. What is it that you express, or that your main goal of trying to get out to the people?
Well, it's how do we achieve long-lasting happiness?
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, it's about achieving long-lasting happiness, and how do we uncover those things in our state of being? How do we, as people, are going to uncover what will make us happy, right? And so, and again, it's going to be about us coming together, like sports and entertainment. If we're going to have arguments, many years ago, we would talk about having, if there was an argument, we would take our best troops, but not our best troops. Let us take our best sports figures and let them be able to be the one that be able to determine who is going to make this war right or wrong. Let the race be of the strong, right? So we have a triathlon. The way that we'll be able to settle this dispute, whoever wins that triathlon is going to be the one. What about that? Now, life is not lost, right? But we do have a kind of interaction and engagement that we can show superiority, or the sense of who is right and wrong, or it's an engagement. There's alternatives to war. There's alternatives to making bombs and having sense of control over other people. That is not being interviewed and not being engaged.
But the thought of you making bombs is the wrong energy right there.
Absolutely.
Because a bomb is used for destruction, to destroy, right?
Well, we also know building and destroy go together. Yeah. Right, so we have this implosion of a building that is no longer necessary, and so we implode buildings so that we can then reintroduce.
But that's buildings. A good way of it.
That's the good, right? And so that's the positive aspect of this, right? So that a positive aspect of it is that Gaza, and I mean, we're talking about Palestine, there's going to be a new Palestine. Is providing there's still going to be a Palestine, and so in those arts of being able to reenact or rebuild. But then also, what happens to that which was old, and the history in which was there? And so the historical aspects is going to be destroyed. And how are they going to be maintained? How are they going to be told? What is the story going to be told there?
We're going to have to take a quick break. We're going to come right back and finish this off. Hold your seat. Hello, viewers in America and across the world. This is Eric Stevenson, host of the Power Talk show on Millennium News 24. Tune in every week at Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, American Time, and also on all of your iOS and Android devices. Also on Smart TV and Apple, Amazon, and worldwide through Verizon Satellite. And also worldwide through www.millenniumtv.com and that's www.millenniumnews24.com and through our social media, Millennium News. See you then. We're back at Power Talk, and I'm your host, Eric Stevenson. I'm with you. Baba, so these last few minutes of the show here, I want to now focus on a teaching for the listeners, or a little class for the listeners to take with them that they could go on day after and week after and practice something that improves their lives. And as I'm looking into your book here, the table of contents, I see many different subjects you're dealing with in different chapters. But I want to first see the inner journey. The inner journey. I mean, I don't have time to read the chapter, but why don't you share on that about the inner journey?
Well, the inner journey is the path in which one takes.
Because this is going within ourselves.
Exactly.
Now. Yeah.
Exactly. Because we want to know about energy, right? And we want to the structure of energy and how do we vibrate internally? Because internally, right, we are the source of our life and our being is in our center, our chi and our chi. These are the centers of our body. Mm-hmm. And so this is why they call the centers of the body the meridians. They call these chi centers. They call them auras, and they have all of these various words. But let's just talk about the inner self. Mm-hmm. In the inner self of our being, once we intake good words, it's like taking in good food. If you take good food, you know you've eaten something good, and you didn't, because our journey internally is where we are going to head us to our destiny. So internally, we need to structure our belief systems, our daily life practices, which in meditation, running, exercising, eating proper food, thinking things that we're going to do, and doing a type of work that is bringing meaningfulness to our life. Mm-hmm. And if we don't, what is our vocation? Our only inner journey is to be able to have ourselves healthy and whole. And that goes to healthy thinking.
So you say a belief system,
yes,
that we should be following a belief system if we have one, right?
Sure.
About feeding it into us knowledge-wise and into living it.
Yes. It's mind mastery. You have to master of our mind. Mm-hmm. Remember, the mastery of the mind is all. The mind, the Kabbalion, the book, the Kabbalion talks about how the mind is all. Right. And so how do we, and in the book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, mm-hmm. he talks about that, the mind as being the focus. Mm-hmm. And so the inner journey is about mind mastery. Mm-hmm. How do we be able to connect our own sense of mind mastery, and how do we begin to use our own physical health, a core value, the core of our value, and how do we celebrate our lives? How do we celebrate those things which were going on? We do that with flexibility, adaptability, and our ability to move through the world, through learning, growing, using creativity. Our inner journey is being able to express our own personal creativity. My book has been part of my inner journey, my inner journey, and my own journey of self-discovery. And it was even almost accidentally that I began to realize that this subject was very, very important to me, and that I think that it was so important that I wanted to share it with the world.
What about now? I see another interesting point here. He says transcending suffering. Well, I think it's a very crucial point as well.
Well, those are the dark areas of our life. Mm. We use suffering as if it is the worst thing that ever can happen.
Something wrong.
Yes, something wrong. But it is not part. Suffering is part of our journey. Mm-hmm. Suffering is a part of growth and development, mm-hmm. right? Pain. Mm-hmm. Our mothers gave pain, had us mm-hmm. in pain. Mm-hmm. We were birthed out of pain. We weren't birthed out of a situation that said, oh, it's just easing through, it's out. No.
So suffering sometimes is a path of goodness.
It's a path towards development, right? And that's the same type of elements that you find in terms of whatever you're doing to be able to achieve something. You have to go through a certain rough periods in your time. Mm-hmm. To be able to have a sense of essence in your life that you can produce. You know, we look at some of the great millionaires that we have now, and the public speakers like, Oprah Winfrey, that talks about her life and how the tragedies and the downfall and the destruction. But from out of the ashes and from out of the rough, that she became this phoenix bird and she emerged, right? And so the same thing with Angela, Davis. So this is the same thing when we talk about Maya Angelou, who I was thinking about, who she then used to be able to. She had several places. She spoke 5 languages, by the way. Wow. Spoke 5 languages. She had never gone and attended any university, but she had taught at 5 prestigious universities, really? And she taught and had several doctorate degrees. Wow. And it was her body of work that spoke for her.
She had a favorite poem, Ain't I a Woman, right?
Yes, Ain't I a Woman, and of course, Still I Rise.
Still I Rise.
Still I Rise. Yeah, Still I Rise. And so she's still rising from out of the ash.
Yeah.
And from out of the ash and from the downstart of all the different things that happen in her life. what then did she do with
Still
it?
she rise.
Still she rise.
Wow.
And so we need to rise and emerge from an inner part of our being, which has been hurt, hardships of our being, things that are not good with us. And how do we use the development of those negative things and make him?
So we can believe in that. So we should believe that we can, or we will overcome suffering.
Exactly.
Because suffering is not necessarily a bad thing for us.
No.
It's a process of resurrection.
It's a process of resurrection and rebuilding.
And rebuilding.
And we are constantly in a state of rebuilding.
Right.
And it's our core being, it's our inner journey that takes us there. We all have a destiny, a path. And Ifa tells us about that. My own personal religious, but I'm not selling that. I'm selling very, very simple and clear directives. And we're talking to the fundamentals of the universal laws of the universe.
Because some people who suffered through sickness, they had a cancer battle or whatever type of battle of suffering.
Yes.
And then it brought them closer to God.
Or it brought them closer to themselves.
And to themselves. And then they overcame it and realized, you know what, had it not been for the suffering, I would not be the person I am today of goodwill, of good thinking, of good faith.
Exactly.
And it was the suffering that they went through as a vehicle to get them to the point of where they really wanted to be.
Right. And you're able to reach plateaus. Right. And because then you realize how tough are you? You find your weaknesses and your strengths in your darkest of your times. And your scaredness of moments, your places of where you're afraid. And those things then become not pillars of weakness, but become pillars of strength. And that's what I'm hoping that people will be able to take a look at my book, Bliss. And it's called Vibrate Higher. We are in the process of developing it, finishing it up. It should be in Amazon July 1st or sooner.
Now, how about, before we close out, people who wanting to say, you know what, I need a change in my life. I want a change in my life for the better. I want to help contribute to the world to make it a better place. I want the leaders to think better, to do better, to act better. How or what would be the start for those who say, you know what, I want to embrace a blissful life?
Well, there's so many
What would they start to do? Would they start to clean their closet, or what? How do they get rid of and shed off the wrong and get on the path to embracing this blissful life?
Everything starts with you. Everything starts with the inner part of your being, right? That inner path of being. So a good place would be the closet, or the good place would be able to clean out that those sock drawer that has all bitch-match socks in it, or whatever you're going to be able to do, right? You're going to be able to clean out those places in your mind as well as your body. So body cleansing as well. Using a physical cleansing, using cleansing as a way of reintroducing your life to health and happiness. If you don't feel well, you don't do well. Feeling well is a lot to be able to look at. If you feel well, you'll do much better. And so exercise is so vital. Breathing, taking deep breaths and spending time with yourself, your mind, and sending yourself. But again, it begins with you. And your inner journey is the pathway to you having a better life, and that happiness is not external. Happiness is internal. It's the path of internal.
So we should all go to sleep tonight, God willing, and wake up tomorrow morning and say, we're going to be a new person.
Yes.
If we did something that we were displeased with yesterday, we're going to do it different today.
Opportunity.
We're going to do it better today.
Yes.
If we was in darkness, we're going to fight now. We're going to become into light.
I love it.
We're going to be that seed that was planted and flourished out of the ground into the world and produce fruit of goodness for the humanity. So this is what people's going to do, or what we need to do. So if you look in yourself and you feel that you need a change, we give you that opportunity here today to accept what's being given and said to you today on this show, and be the good one, be the better one. If you was bad, you'll forgive for it. Be good now. If you did wrong or thought wrong, push it aside. Think right now and teach another. Make sure your children or your brothers or your families all getting some of this knowledge and wisdom, because this is the only way we're going to change it, is each one teach one. So the book, how would they be able to get it? You said it's going to be available July 1st?
Sure, yeah. My book is available on Amazon. It's Bliss, Baba Oluwole.
But it's 2 parts now, right?
This is going to be the second part, and this is going to be called Vibrate Higher.
Is part 1 out? Is out on
It's
Amazon
out and
now?
available on Amazon. You can look up Bliss, and it's by Baba. You can just put Bliss Baba and you'll get to me. And of course, I have a website, www.ifakunle.com. And that's also have another website called Asheshe Life. .com, which really means traditional life, and so really the traditional life of the shamans and the traditional life of those who dwelled in and before orthodox religious beliefs were even introduced. And so it is about the wholeness and the wholeness of the purpose of getting the person together, coming together.
Mm-hmm. And remember, everything came out of darkness.
Oh yes, everything came out of darkness. Even the Bible says the beginning was well.
Yeah, God created the world out of darkness.
That's right.
So we're not in a bad place if we're in darkness, but now is this time to bliss, to elevate.
That's right.
Higher vibrations now.
Yes.
That we could accomplish and get to where we need to get to. This war, Israel, Palestine, this could be dealt with if we have right-minded people focusing in at the table.
Yes.
Those who could put selfishness on the side, those who could put hate on the side, we could resolve that issue and make it permanent peace once and for all. And then to eliminate those with bad thoughts who tries to come break peace by creating more and more positive minded people around who would just run them out and let them know there's no room here for that. And let them go somewhere else. If they can swim, let them go into the sea, but we need peace on our earth. We need peace with our people and our societies. And that's what we're going to work and continue to preach and teach and talk about. I know some don't like it because they're not in bliss, but that's why we offer you the opportunity to be in bliss and to be higher, elevated into the good, higher being of yourself. Not your lower self, but your higher self. Not your lower self of low desires, but your higher self of higher desires and good things. So we thank you, Baba, for being here once again. The listeners, I'm sure, enjoyed it because I sure did get some new perspective on myself today by speaking with you and looking through this book. And I would encourage and hope everyone to get a copy of this book. Amazon, and many a times we spend a lot of money on a lot of foolish things and junk things at a higher cost. But what is the price?
Oh, it's $20.
$20.
Oh, $19.99.
$19.99 may change your life and your future forever.
Yeah.
Imagine. Sometimes you walk down the street and it drops out your pocket and you lose $20 and don't even know it. But this is the best spend of your $20. And I'm going to make sure I get part 2 myself. So all the listeners, continue on. We thank you for tuning in here to Power Talk. Once again, to all the viewers and listeners, we value your opinions and thoughts. And we love you as our listeners and guests. And we work hard to make sure we will bring good things to you of higher vibrations and bliss, not of lower, so that we can all move forward in peace. Thank you all for listening to Power Talk. Until next week.